Here's what you missed in the last 46 hours. You had 36 videos worth catching up on, covering everything from massive AI developments in finance and infrastructure to Tesla's electromagnetic seats, gaming industry legislative battles, and some surprisingly deep technical breakdowns. Starting with the biggest story, Wies Roth was genuinely alarmed about what's happening in AI and finance right now. AI just broke into the finance industry in a massive way. OpenAI launched consumer finance integration through Plaid for ChatGPT Pro users, connecting 12,000 financial institutions for portfolio analysis and spending tracking. But here's the kicker. Anthropic now has more business customers than OpenAI for the first time, approaching $30 billion in annualized revenue. Roth shared his personal experience using Claude for financial management, describing how it solved in 5 minutes what would cost $200 monthly from a CPA. Anthropic partnered with FIS, which handles 12% of the global economy's payment infrastructure, to build AI agents for financial crime detection. The accuracy is 64% compared to humans at 75%, but at 10x lower cost. What really got Roth fired up was the cybersecurity crisis happening simultaneously. Google barely prevented the first AI-written zero-day exploit, and there's a cascade of security breaches hitting major companies. The scary part is that if China releases similar AI hacking capabilities, coordinated attacks on financial institutions could trigger panic and bank runs even without actual damage. On that cybersecurity note, Nate Jones brought some major validation of those concerns. Independent evaluations confirmed that Anthropic's Mythos model significantly outperforms GPT-5.5 at actual cybersecurity tasks. We're talking complete attack chains including reconnaissance, credential theft, and network takeover. This matters because GPT-5.5 cyber was already extremely strong. The economic implications are staggering. As vulnerability discovery costs drop, both defenders and attackers gain capabilities. Meanwhile, Notion launched a developer platform making entire workspaces programmable for agents, and AWS introduced managed desktops so AI agents can operate legacy desktop applications directly. The infrastructure for AI agents is scaling incredibly fast. Dylan Curious covered some fascinating developments that show AI expanding in unexpected directions. Thinking Machines Lab demonstrated real-time AI interaction at 180-250 millisecond visual processing speeds. This isn't your typical chatbot, but a system that can interrupt, react mid-sentence, and translate while you're still speaking. Google's leaked Gemini Omni video model is hitting next week's I/O conference with editing capabilities that let you remove watermarks or rewrite entire scenes through simple chat commands. But Dylan got totally freaked out by an article about dark AI, how modern AI combines massive personal data fragments to rebuild detailed profiles and predict behavior, essentially making humans predictable enough to manage. The real Skynet isn't a giant conscious machine, but this quiet inference layer that shapes prices, hiring, and recommendations invisibly. Speaking of AI strategy, Nate Jones delivered a masterclass on making smart AI investments. He's clearly frustrated with vendors overselling and buyers making uninformed choices. Gartner predicts over 40% of agentic AI projects will be killed by end of 2027 due to cost overruns and unclear business value. His core insight hit hard. AI investment isn't an AI question, it's a question about the shape of work. Most teams skip understanding workflows and jump straight to vendor shopping. He broke down 5 investment levers: automate, build, buy, hire, or wait. The key principle: do not automate what you cannot describe. If you can't clearly articulate inputs, outputs, standards, and exceptions in plain English, you'll make poor investment decisions. His 2x2 matrix comparing work specificity versus market maturity gives you clear guidance on which lever to pull. Moving to lighter content, Linus was genuinely shocked at his employee Reese's home office situation. We're talking about a space completely dominated by 89+ pairs of shoes, approaching 100 total, including $1,200 Amamaniere Jordan 4s. The transformation involved a complete room teardown and installing a Vernal Core 3 sit-stand desk that can lift 180 kilograms at 40 millimeters per second. Linus was playfully incredulous throughout, but clearly satisfied with the final result, turning a cluttered mess into a professional streaming setup with proper lighting and cable management. His energy was consistently upbeat, treating this more like hanging out with friends than a formal makeover show. Dave's garage delivered something special, demystifying Malloc by building memory allocators from scratch. Dave maintained his engaging style with folksy analogies, describing Malloc as a tiny little operating system inside your process. He walked through the evolution from simple bump allocators to sophisticated systems handling alignment, free lists, and fragmentation. The key insight: the fastest Malloc call is the one you do not make. Dave emphasized that Malloc isn't magic. It evolved through bounds checks, alignment requirements, headers, thread caches, and security hardening into something that works so well you never think about it. His final reflection captured Malloc's hidden complexity perfectly. When you write Malloc 128, a little bookkeeper found a place in your process's private universe and handed you an address with the quiet confidence of a parent who knows that you're absolutely gonna write past the end of it someday anyway. David Bombal got access to Cisco's $20 million AI lab and discovered something crucial. While GPUs get all the attention, the network fabric connecting thousands of GPUs is equally critical. At $2 per hour per GPU, a 10,000 GPU cluster costs $175 million annually to operate. Even a 5% efficiency loss translates to $8 million per year in wasted resources. Bombal was genuinely amazed by the scale and heard a concrete example where someone plugging in the wrong cable size caused a 75% performance drop that took 2 days to track down. The lab validates complete AI infrastructure stacks because modern AI training requires thousands of GPUs working as one system, necessitating switches capable of 100 terabits per second throughput. The InfiniBand versus Ethernet debate is heating up, with Ethernet becoming necessary for hundreds of thousands of GPU deployments. On the security front, Explaining Computers covered something that affects most of us: secure boot certificates from Microsoft expiring in June and October 2026. The presenter maintained his calm, educational approach while explaining that these certificates need updating on most Windows and Linux computers. The good news is this should happen automatically for most users and won't prevent computers from booting, even if certificates expire. He demonstrated checking certificate status through the Windows Security app, showing the progression through different status messages as Microsoft rolls out updates. The process involves complex technical underpinnings with knowledge graphs and NVRAM storage, but most users just need to be patient and let Windows Update handle everything. Teachers Tech presented a practical workflow that actually works for retaining research. Jamie was enthusiastic but realistic about the effort required, showing how to combine NotebookLM and Obsidian effectively. NotebookLM processes and synthesizes sources. She used sleep routine research as an example, importing Matthew Walker's TED Talk, a Sleep Foundation PDF, and Harvard website. Her key insight: start broad then narrow, asking what sources agree on, then what they disagree about to surface nuance. The manual transfer to Obsidian is a feature, not a bug, because it forces quality filtering. In Obsidian, double square brackets create connections between notes, building a web of ideas that link to each other rather than just a folder of isolated notes. The workflow turns information into knowledge you actually own. Staying with knowledge management, Notice Labs demonstrated InfraNotice, an extension bringing Obsidian-style graph visualization to Cursor AI and other IDEs. The presenter was genuinely enthusiastic about visualizing text, code, and LLM outputs as knowledge graphs to identify main ideas and gaps. His favorite use case involves examining latent topics, smaller, hidden clusters that traditional analysis misses. The gap analysis feature identifies poorly connected topics and generates bridging questions for AI agents to explore. For code analysis, it can visualize entire codebases showing main clusters and relationships. The tool integrates with the InfraNotice MCP server, allowing AI agents to directly call gap-finding tools within agent workflows. Tom from ICOR presented a completely free voice capture solution that impressed him enough to consider switching from third-party tools. Using iPhone shortcuts, he demonstrated automatic audio recording that saves directly to local folders synced with Dropbox, where Claude can then transcribe using Whisper CPP and FFmpeg, all open source and free. The system works through Action button press and hold or Control Center, with Apple Watch integration for wrist activation. Tom was enthusiastic about the independence this provides, showing how Claude automatically processed multiple recordings into a single transcript file without any third-party dependencies. TED featured sex tech expert Bryony discussing love and intimacy in the AI age. Cole came across as thoughtfully concerned, yet realistic. Over 300 AI companion apps were released in 2025 alone, used by surprisingly diverse demographics beyond stereotypes. She highlighted people considering AI families, with a young boy wanting an AI wife and planning to adopt human children. Her key insight: we need hybrid futures where AI complements rather than replaces human connection. The danger isn't efficiency itself, but that everything becomes efficient, including our thoughts and needs. Cole emphasized that intimacy and relationships shouldn't be efficient, and predicted inefficiency and slow relationships will become luxury concepts. Her actionable advice: cultivate distinctly human skills like presence, curiosity, and listening, and have explicit conversations with partners about AI companion usage. I noticed the transcript for Tejas Kumar's AI engineer talk on harnesses was missing, so I can't give you the details on that presentation. Similarly, Lawrence Jones' talk about fighting AI with AI from Incident was also missing its transcript content. And Mike Christensen's presentation on why AI UX is broken also lacked transcript content, so we'll have to catch those details another time. However, we did get Microsoft's Marlene Mhangami presenting on functionality testing with Playwright. She was data-driven and enthusiastic about addressing the massive growth in AI-generated code, GitHub seeing potential 14 billion commits in 2026 versus 1 billion in 2025. Her key argument: AI only improves developer productivity when applied to clean codebases. She advocated for test-driven development using Playwright for end-to-end browser testing rather than unit tests that focus on implementation details. The live demo was impressive, Playwright automatically testing search functionality, category filtering, and price ranges without manual keyboard input. Her framework makes functionality tests triggered by feature requests focusing on behavior, while developers spend most time refactoring AI-generated code. Christopher Lovejoy from Notius Labs delivered a framework for leveraging domain expertise in vertical AI that felt genuinely practical. Drawing from his experience as both medical doctor and AI practitioner at companies like Tandem and Anterior, he argued that success depends on organizational design, not just model sophistication. His three-role framework is brilliant. Oracle embeds expertise directly into applications, Evaluator defines quality metrics and measurement systems, and Architect designs systems for automated improvement. He detailed concrete case studies: Granola's $1 billion valuation built on a writer-journalist as Oracle for meeting notes, tandem scaling across medical specialties with decentralized oracles, and his own progression at Anterior from Oracle to Evaluator to Architect for prior authorization decisions. The key insight: hire for domain expertise plus breadth, give them ownership rather than advisory roles, and evolve their responsibilities as you scale. Stephen Chin from Neo4j was theatrical and passionate about escaping what he calls the matrix of siloed enterprise systems. Using extensive matrix metaphors, he presented context graphs as the solution for connecting enterprise data, reasoning traces, and memory. He got particularly animated when describing audience participation and showed clear pride about Gartner officially adding context graphs to the AI hype cycle. His healthcare demo was compelling, showing how context graphs provide grounded, complete information including medication management and surgical history that vector similarity searches miss. The financial services demonstration revealed decision provenance for loan approvals, pulling from bank accounts, related margin trades, and fraud detection patterns to provide justifiable reasoning for human decision makers. CarEdge delivered insider knowledge from a former dealer with 43 years of experience breaking down hidden meanings behind common sales tactics. Ray was genuinely helpful without malice, sharing trade secrets to level the playing field. When salespeople say, "Let me check with my manager," they're buying time to strategize getting more money while customers mentally take ownership of the vehicle. Comfortable monthly budget deflects from total price to enable loan term manipulation. Customers accept a $25 monthly increase easier than $4,000 total increase. The persistence data was compelling. Customers who negotiate through 4 or more rounds save $2,736 versus $1,205 for those giving up after 2 rounds. Best price isn't final, but sets a floor for further negotiation. The education was practical and immediately actionable. There was a strange mismatch with the AIE Singapore Day 2 video. The title suggested tech conference content, but the transcript was entirely about coffee history, so I couldn't extract meaningful AI conference insights from that one. The AIE Singapore Day 1 video also had transcript issues, so we're missing those conference details as well. Eleni Sagredos' game sales presentation from Indie Game Business was another missing transcript. Moving to game development, Mike from Game From Scratch was genuinely overwhelmed by the current bundle situation. He covered Unity Asset Store's unusually priced $68.99 tier with asset inventory tools he particularly loves. Green Man Gaming's new bundle category featuring cyberpunk pixel art and dynamic music packs. And Humble Bundles. Insane? Situation of 15 different game dev bundles running simultaneously during their 15th anniversary. The Kit Bash 3D bundle caught his attention with movie-quality assets for futuristic New York, Shangri-La, and heavy metal environments. He was entertained by a human body sounds pack that someone turned into a song. Mike expressed frustration about potentially changing his coverage format due to bundle oversaturation, but maintained enthusiasm for individual bundle contents. The Purdue CS2 40 drama video from Coding Jesus had missing transcript content. However, Coding Jesus did deliver a passionate defense of his HFT interview approach. He was clearly frustrated with people dismissing HFT questions as C++ trivia when they're actually fundamental knowledge. The Reddit post from a C++11 developer struggling with HFT interviews sparked his detailed breakdown. He systematically addressed specific questions: -0 in floating point types following IEEE 754, memory alignment and cache line considerations, mutex implementation using Linux futex with fast and slow paths, and STD, tie versus structured bindings. A top commenter with 12 years HFT experience provided valuable validation that these questions aren't obscure but fundamental to the field. His platform GetCracked.io provides curated roadmaps showing which parts of 15 textbooks and 50 blog posts are actually relevant, since 60% of most books aren't applicable to target roles. The Electric Viking was genuinely impressed by Toyota's BZ4X Touring, despite his admitted anti-Toyota bias. He wouldn't buy it specifically because of the Toyota badge, though he'd consider the Subaru version. The specs are compelling: 367 miles EPA range, 375 horsepower making it Toyota's most powerful non-GR vehicle, and 4.5 second 0-100 acceleration. The key move is Toyota partnering with Google Gemini instead of their own Apple Intelligence models. Sam called this the smartest competitive move Apple could make to become competitive instantly. The vehicle became the third best-selling EV in America's first quarter after 2026 model year updates. Sam finished with speculation about Toyota's potential if they hadn't spent time and money fighting against EVs and focused on vehicles like this from the beginning. Sam was genuinely amazed by Pure Lithium New Energy's solid-state LFP batteries that continue working when cut in half. He was slightly incredulous, but confirmed it's legitimate. These aren't the high-density solid-state batteries typically discussed, but 190 watt-hours per kilogram matching BYD's Blade battery. The Beijing-based company backed by state investment is already mass-producing with a 500 megawatt-hour line at full capacity and building a gigawatt-hour factory for 2026. The impressive specs include 6,800 cycle life compared to BYD's 4,500 cycles. They're prioritizing energy storage and low-speed mobility before passenger EVs, already deploying with major Chinese entities. Sam suggested these might be the safest battery in the world, while remaining affordable. Sam was genuinely excited about what he calls a watershed moment. Battery storage costs collapsed 65–70% in just 24 months, according to Brookfield Renewables' CEO. This fundamentally changes grid economics, making batteries mainstream infrastructure that can replace gas peaker plants. The deployment statistics are staggering: 108 gigawatts of new storage in 2025, representing 40% growth, with annual additions scaling from 10 to over 100 gigawatts in just 4 years. Sam emphasized this outpaced wind and solar scaling at comparable stages. He addressed the baseload debate directly, stating governments worldwide now use batteries for baseload, despite academic critics. Using his personal example, generating 80 kilowatt-hours of solar that day in Australia, while filming at 11 p.m. with battery at 41% charge, he illustrated how storage bridges the gap until sunrise. Sam covered the stark contrast in used EV markets between Germany and Nordic countries. In Germany, 3-year-old EVs retain only 49% value versus 61–62% for combustion cars, creating excellent buying opportunities but serious problems for dealers and leasing companies. He identified 3 causes: rapidly advancing EV technology, making 3-year-old models appear outdated, falling new EV prices due to Tesla cuts and Chinese competition, and buyer psychology influenced by media myths about battery reliability. Specific examples showed Hyundai Kona Electric losing 52% versus 26% for petrol, Mercedes EQE losing 70% versus 49% for E-Class. Despite this, Sam framed it as potentially the best time ever to buy a used electric car, given operational advantages like home charging, minimal servicing, and no routine maintenance components. He contrasted this with Australia, where used EV inventory dropped from 10,000 to under 1,000 units due to supply shortages. Sam was genuinely excited about Tesla's electromagnetic suspension seats patent, getting particularly animated about potential roadster applications. The patent replaces traditional truck scissor lift suspension with magnetic dampening systems, solving comfort and safety issues in commercial vehicles. Tesla identified poor lateral stability and high deflection rates in legacy designs while developing their Semi. The innovation includes integrated seatbelt retractors that move with the seat rather than anchoring to the cab wall, eliminating uncomfortable relative motion. For the Roadster, potentially capable of 0–100 km/h in 1.819 seconds with SpaceX thrusters, electromagnetic seats could counteract extreme G-forces in real time. Sam drew from personal race car experience, describing uncomfortable seatbelt tension across the chest, suggesting this technology could solve that issue while keeping drivers secure during record-breaking acceleration. Sam announced that Avatar, Chang'an's premium EV brand, is bringing their 7L SUV to Australia within months through Inchcape distribution. He was genuinely enthusiastic about having a larger SUV option since there are so many vehicles the size of a Tesla Model Y now. The 7L is approximately 5 meters long compared to the regular 7 at 48.25, positioning it definitively in the next size-up category. Technical specs include 82 kWh LFP battery with 800V architecture, 252 kW single motor, or 440 kW all-wheel drive, an impressive interior technology with a 35.4-inch pillar-to-pillar screen plus 15.6-inch central display running Huawei's Harmony OS. Sam was particularly animated about the interior being on a different planet compared to typical EVs, though acknowledging it's more polarizing. He raised concerns about Huawei's extensive software integration given Australia's 5G restrictions, questioning whether modifications might be necessary. Sam was frustrated and dismissive of Volkswagen's latest decisions. CEO Thomas Scheffer told the Financial Times that the electric Golf, originally planned for 2028, won't reach showrooms before 2030 because we do not need an electric Golf in 2028. Sam called the platform delay excuses a bit of a load of bullshit and expressed genuine exasperation that they don't know what to do. The company is in discussions with BYD and XPeng about selling them factory floor space because German manufacturing costs are too high, while publicly planning to fire 50,000 staff. Simultaneously, Porsche SE reported massive losses of €923 million, $1.1 billion US, due to writing down Volkswagen Holdings' value. The pressure points are clear. China, where VW once dominated with the best-selling petrol car for 6 years, now representing a 61.3% electric market where Chinese companies offer better software, faster charging, lower prices, and more advanced systems. DIY smart code presented a critical problem costing AI coders money right now. AI agents waste significant tokens using basic text search that can't distinguish real code from strings in comments or test fixtures. ast-grep solves this by parsing code into structural trees and matching patterns against actual syntax nodes. The presenter demonstrated concrete savings. Regular text search found 164 matches across 22 files for debug log cleanup, but many were false positives. ast-grep correctly identified only real calls, reducing scope to 12 files. Testing showed text search overcounted by 26–30% across common refactor searches. Translated to financial impact, auditing 22 files requires 11,000 tokens costing about a cent per refactor. Scaled to 50 daily refactors, this waste amounts to $15 monthly per developer. Implementation is simple. Install the CLI tool and agent skill, restart Claude Code, and explicitly tell agents to use ast-grep for code search. Finally, Yang Ye was genuinely excited about the Stop Killing Games movement's major victory. California's OB 1921 bill passed the Assembly Appropriations Committee despite ESA opposition, moving toward requiring companies to either keep games working after server shutdowns or issue refunds. Yang Ye methodically dismantled the ESA's opposition letter point by point, calling their arguments straight-up bullshit. The ESA claimed the bill would harm consumers. Yang Ye responded there's no way giving consumers more power could harm them. They argued games are licensed, not sold. He explained the bill doesn't grant ownership, but seeks similar guarantees to physical cartridges. Technical impossibility claims were demonstrably false since the bill affects future games, allowing developers to build with end-of-life plans. Yang Ye framed this as necessary response to companies refusing to do the right thing voluntarily, with similar movement in Europe hopefully spreading globally. That wraps up a packed 46 hours, spanning AI's aggressive expansion into finance and infrastructure, breakthrough battery technologies reshaping transportation, and some fascinating deep dives into everything from memory allocation to game preservation. The Stop Killing Games victory and Tesla's electromagnetic seats were unexpected highlights in what was clearly a transformative period for both AI development and the industries it's disrupting.